What is the most evil strategy you can possibly pull off in Pokémon? Not a good strategy, but one aiming to cause as much suffering and emotional damage as possible. I can think of a few contenders. There is a Dastardly strategy involving Slowbro that actually traps the enemy Pokémon forever. A level 1 Rattata is capable of knocking out even the most powerful of legendaries by abusing certain mechanics. Losing to Rattata is pretty embarrassing, I'd say, but these two cat Pokémon might just be the most evil of all. Competitive Pokémon singles is a world where some truly diabolical stuff is possible. Let's explore some of these horrendous strategies and how they absolutely break the game. Why don't we start with one of Pokemon's most infamous strategies, a strategy that caused an entire rule set change to be built around it. And that is the infamous F.E.A.R. F.E.A.R is a Slowbro set that is able to create infinite battles. Step 1 is using the move Block to trap the enemy and prevent them from switching out. You're aiming to target something that can't threaten you that much, has no way to pivot out of the field, and is just stuck there. Now, trapping strategies are bad enough. There's a history of trapping strategies being very evil, but this is the most evil of all. With the simple combination of Recycle and a Leper Berry, this Slowbro set can never run out of PP. Leper Berry is a consumable item that restores 10 PP. It triggers when you have run out of PP on a move. Recycle is a move that recovers the last item you used. So you can infinitely keep recovering this Leper Berry and restoring your precious PP, never running out of moves to use, always having options to use. You can infinitely heal with Slack off, and eventually your opponent will run out of moves. They don't have this Leper Berry or any way to restore PP, so eventually, over enough turns, sometimes it takes 100+ turns or more, but eventually they'll run out of moves completely and start struggling. Struggle is the move that you use in Pokemon when you have no moves left. And this move is designed to self-KO you after a couple turns, because after you use the move Struggle, it's just a weak attack with a set recoil of 25%. Once you use Struggle, you take 25% damage. After a couple struggles, you'll be deceased. But this Slowbro set is running the move Heal Pulse. Heal Pulse is a move that can heal any target on the field by 50%, besides yourself. Now this is supposed to be used for doubles battles to heal your ally, but you can also, if you want to, use it to heal your opponent. Are the pieces starting to come together, folks? Do you see why this is such an evil strategy? By healing the enemy, you can prevent them from dying to struggle. Because yes, even though they're taking damage, you could just keep heal pulsing them over and over, and you never run out of heal pulses because you just Leper Berry, recycle the berry, and the game literally goes forever. You never run out of resources, and your opponent is out of resources, but they can't die because you keep healing them. So the only way out of this is for one of you to forfeit. If you have enough patience, you could sit here for literal weeks if you wanted. And just keep infinitely healing the enemy, restoring PP, and that's your life now, I suppose. So when this strategy was discovered, something had to be done about it. And a new rule was put in place, called the Endless Battle Clause. Basically, this rule is able to detect in a battle if no progress is being made. Like in the instance of the enemies struggling and you consistently healing them. It's able to detect that an endless battle is happening, and when it does detect that, it will forcibly forfeit the game for the player who is creating the endless battle. You can kind of think of it like the rule in chess where you're not allowed to do multiple repetitions of the same move, because that can also force an infinite battle. I think this is kind of funny because if you choose to run this set, which you can illegally run, they didn't ban the set, but if you choose to run it, you will be punished. You will forcibly have the game taken from you and your points taken from you. A fitting comeuppance for those who are choosing to wreak this evil upon the world. The only way at the moment to utilize this strategy is in a custom game. If you happen to challenge a friend to a custom game, you could prank them with this one if you want. Custom games have no rules and you can do whatever you want in them, so there is no endless battle clause there. But in every other format, this is now dealt with. But isn't it crazy that Slowbro was the catalyst for a strategy that genuinely broke the game and brought it to a halt, leaving both players in a stalemate with only the advancement of time on your side? Hi folks, Jim from the future here, and I think I've discovered that Endless Battle Clause is broken in Gen 5, but as you can see, I've achieved an endless battle. This Mamoswine is trapped, it is struggling, and I am healing it infinitely. I'm recovering my PP, but it's not forfeiting the game. And this is not a custom game, this is Gen 5 OU. If you scroll up, Endless Battle Clause is listed here. It's supposed to be in effect. So I've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole. Why is this not working? So I looked, here is how Endless Battle Clause actually triggers. A Pokemon becomes stale if it is hit by certain effects, including heal, pulse, having its PP restored by a berry it didn't start the battle with, aka a recycled or harvested berry. So it tags you as stale if certain conditions are met that indicate an infinite battle, and if all Pokemon on the field are stale, at least one can't switch, at least one was made stale by the opponent and it's past turn 100, the clause activates. So I am wondering why it is not activating in this instance, because both Pokemon should be stale. I have achieved a recycled berry and consumed it multiple times. This Mamoswine is being hit with Heal Pulse and should therefore be stale. It is also trapped. One Pokemon is trapped on the field. That's another condition met. So why, and also it's past turn 100, by the way. So I initially thought that this was not triggering because I was using a Choice Scarf Pokemon, but this Mamoswine is not Choice Scarf. This is the set I used right here. So folks, I think I've discovered that they just didn't do it, or something's very wrong here. Something's very wrong, because this should be illegal, and I am currently doing it perfectly legally in a Gen 5 OU battle. This should not be happening right now. I will move on, lest I be trapped forever in this purgatory, but I thought I had to bring this to the attention as a public service announcement. I believe that endless battles are not banned in Gen 5, as far as I can tell, unless I'm crazy. Unless I'm insane. That's possible too. But anyway, let's move on. Up next is the infamous Rattata strategy, involving a level 1 Rattata and a little bit of nonsense. You may be wondering why you want the Pokemon to be level 1 on purpose, but there's a very simple reason. It's all because of this move right here, Endeavor. Endeavor is a move that deals a set amount of damage. It's not like most other attacks. It doesn't use your attack stat and their defense stat. What Endeavor does is it sets the target's HP to be the same as the user's HP. And you know what's great about level 1 Pokemon is that they have very low HP. Rattata here has a whopping 11 HP. So if you use Endeavor with a level 1 Pokemon, you're going to bring the enemy down to almost 0 HP. Just a sliver of health away from their demise. Rattata is also holding the item Focus Sash here. Focus Sash is an item that allows you to survive a hit from full HP once. You will be brought to one single point of HP when this happens, but you will not faint. And being on 1 HP is extremely valuable for this strategy, because if you take a hit and then use Endeavor, you will put the enemy on just 1 point of HP. Literally 1. And that's the beauty of the set, because Rattata is also running Quick Attack, a priority move that is able to move first even if you are slower. So if you're unfamiliar with this strategy, you can get completely destroyed by it. You attack into the Rattata, they Endeavor, and then a simple Quick Attack will deal the final 1 HP, and even Arceus will fall to this. Even Mega Rayquaza will fail to defeat this. This strategy is named F.E.A.R, which is an acronym that stands for Focus Sash, Endeavor, Quick Attack, Rattata. For some reason the Q is silent. It's a bit of creative liberty going on there. But it's a pretty good nickname for this strategy that gets the point across. Funnily enough, Rattata is actually kind of a bad Pokemon at abusing this strategy, even though it's the most famous example. Probably because it's funny. You know, it's Rattata. It's the first Pokemon you ever see. It's level 1. This gets the headlines. This attracts people's attention. But so many things in the game can stop this. Compared to the Funbow strategy I just spoke about, which violates the Geneva Convention, this is pretty easy to beat if you see it coming. At most it will trade with 1 Pokemon at the best of times, but you know, any move with a damage over time effect will just KO the Rattata and then break the Focus Sash. If Sandstorm is on the field, or Hail, in generations where Hail exists, you just attack Rattata and it dies to Hail or Sand. Very simple. If you have a priority move, you can out-priority the Quick Attack. If you're a Ghost type, you're just immune completely to Endeavor and Quick Attack. And Ghost types are very common. So this is a pure gimmick, and even if the gimmick is successful, it's going to KO 1 enemy. and that's about it. It could be a high value KO, and it's certainly a trade up for Rattata no matter what it is, but that's the best you're gonna get. A much better Pokemon at abusing this strategy is Aron, the baby form of Aggron, and there's a few reasons for this. For one, Aron doesn't need to hold a Focus Sash because it just has the ability Sturdy, which has the same effect as Focus Sash, allowing you to survive on 1 HP if you would have otherwise been 1 hit KO from full HP. Since the item slot is free, Aron can use a creative item choice with Shell Bell. Shell Bell is an item that is usually terrible. It heals your Pokemon equal to 1/8 of the damage dealt. But the beauty of this is that because your guy is level 1 and has almost no HP, and Endeavor is dealing significant amount of damage in actual HP value, when you're brought down to 1 HP and use Endeavor, you will fully heal all the way back to 100, meaning you can actually repeatedly keep endeavoring things, and you will always survive on 1 HP again. Unlike Rattata, Aron is also immune to Sandstorm and Poison, which is huge. These are strategies that immediately defeat the Rattata, but the Aron will triumph. Now, the problem with Aron, though, compared to Rattata, is that it does not get a priority move. It doesn't get quick attack. Instead, you're going to have to rely on some sort of residual damage to get that final little blow in on the enemy. Sandstorm is a good way to do so because for 5 turns it's going to make Sandstorm on the field, dealing a little bit of chip damage to anything that is on the field that isn't a rock, ground, or steel type. That can work, so can Toxic to simply poison the enemy. You Endeavor, and then they are brought to 1 and die to the poison. Or Aron can just be used to bring a bunch of enemies to 1 HP, and your teammate can clean up. That's honestly a pretty good way to go with this. This is gimmicky too, but I think it's a bit more consistent than the Rattata. There's less counterplay to it, and you might trick people more often with this too. Another cool option for this is Togedemaru, the Pikachu clone, very spherical Pokemon that has a different way to abuse being a level 1 Pokemon. This guy is also a steel type, meaning it's immune to sand. It also has Sturdy, and it has Endeavor, so it can do much the same thing as Aron with the Shell Bell Endeavor combo. Very nice stuff. Togedemaru also has access to Fake Out, which is a priority move that only works on the first turn and has a 100% flinch chance. The reason this is nice is because if you switch in and take Stealth Rock damage, Fake Out will heal you back to 100% and make sure that Sturdy is in effect, because you have to be at full HP for Sturdy to work. Fake Out will give you that little bit of Shell Bell chip damage and heal you. And Togedemaru also has access to Spiky Shield, which is a protect move, but if the enemy makes contact with you, they will take a little bit of chip damage. It's perfect to pair with Endeavor, because you bring them to 1 HP, they try to attack you again, and they end up attacking themselves with lethal force. If you have a teammate that creates Sandstorm, that can also be a way to get the little bit of chip damage in, just like Aron. But you need some teammate support for that to be the case. Even though this is a famous evil Pokemon strategy, and losing to it can be a little bit humiliating, I don't think this is as evil as it gets in Pokemon. Because if you see a level 1 enemy, you sort of know what's happening if you're experienced at all. And there's plenty of counterplay to this. Plus, at most, they'll get a KO here and there and then die, even if you are caught off guard by it. It's not as if the game ends as a result. I would consider this actually a fairly honest strategy as far as evil gimmicks go. But it is noteworthy, of course. It's very funny. It's a classic. The level 1 Rattata defeating Pokemon far above its weight. It's very humorous. And it can be a great way to prank your friend who is not as familiar with Pokemon. And now it's time we discuss the cats. I have avoided it for long enough. We have to address the cats. I believe that the cats are the most evil entities in Pokemon history, and I will explain why. Liepard is the cat who started it all. A Gen 5 Pokemon, and an innocuous Pokemon at first glance. What's so bad about this? Liepard has pretty pathetic stats, to be honest. A very low 88 attack, terrible defenses. But take a look at this. Liepard has one of the most powerful utility abilities in Pokemon. The ability Prankster. Prankster means that all of your non-attacking moves have a priority on them. And in the case of Liepard, this is a very dangerous ability. Because Liepard has access to this move right here. The move Assist. Assist is a move that has broken the game so many times that they got rid of it. They removed it from Gen 8. But many of us still remember the damage caused by Assist. And much like Liepard itself, it sounds pretty innocuous when you first hear of it. All this does is it's a utility move that uses a random move known by a team member. But this move has serious game-breaking ramifications. Liepard actually has 2 ways to break the game with this move in Gen 5. Now, I'm sure if you're an intelligent human being, you've realized why Assist is powerful in this Pokemon in particular, because it has priority, and you can give priority to moves that normally shouldn't have it, like attacks. You could have Earthquake with priority, or Draco Meteor with priority on it. But that's not the worst of it. One of the most game-breaking ways to use this is with the move Dive. If Assist calls the move Dive, you will dive under the water and become immune with priority. It's kind of like using Protect. The way Dive works is that the first turn you go under the water, you're immune to attacks, and then you emerge on the second turn and attack the enemy. It's fine because after emerging from the ground, you are now vulnerable and can be hit by things once again. You're no longer immune. But Liepard has a little trick it can perform with the item Lagging Tail. Lagging Tail is a move that causes the user to move last in its priority bracket, which is very interesting. You may wonder why you would want to use this in such an instance, but the reason for this is because Assist still has priority on it. You are still going to out-prio enemies with Assist, even though you have a Lagging Tail equipped. So Dive will still occur first, you'll go underground, but then the second hit of Dive will hit last in the priority bracket, meaning that you remain underwater while your enemy is attempting to strike you, and then you will emerge from the water and attack them with complete safety. So with this combination of priority and then negative priority afterwards, you're basically underwater all of the time, and the enemy can never hit you, and you're basically invincible, and you slowly chip them down with Dive over the course of a game. Liepard's younger self, Purloin, can do exactly the same thing, because it also has Prankster and Assist. Even though it's a weaker Pokemon, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the Prankster and Assist combo. So these 2 dive cats, as people call them, can just evade justice and defeat everything. The only way to defeat this is with a priority move of your own to hit Liepard, and not every team can afford to run priority moves. So in some matchups, this is just an instant win. Another broken combination in Gen 5 with the move Assist is calling Roar. Roar is a move that forces the enemy to switch out. A very common move in competitive because it can counteract enemies that have boosted up. If you're forced out of the field, your boosts go away. It can also shuffle enemies around, forcing hazard chip damage. Hazards deal damage when an enemy switches in, and Roar forces them to switch to a random ally. The thing about Roar, though, is that it has negative priority. If Roar was able to be used first on a fast Pokemon, it'd be kind of broken, wouldn't it? You could just deny the enemy from acting at all, forcing them out repeatedly and racking up spikes damage. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? Well, folks, would you believe me if I told you that that's exactly what Liepard was doing? Because with Assist, you have priority, and you completely bypass the negative priority Roar is supposed to have. So you assist Roar, force the enemy to switch repeatedly, and if you have Stealth Rock on the field, or spikes, or any hazards, the enemy is just going to slowly die, and they can't do anything about it. But would you believe me if I told you that there is an even more diabolical way to abuse Assist? The most diabolical of all. And this was in the format Gen 9 National Dex. Now, it's worth noting, Gen 9 National Dex is not an official format, it is a fan format, but it's a popular format because it allows you to use every single thing in the whole Pokemon series. It's as if the Dexit of Generation 8 and other cut content in Gen 9 was never cut. You can use all of the Gen 9 Pokemon plus Z moves and Megas, and anything else that was cut, like the moves Pursuit and Hidden Power. A lot of people like this format because they're not fans of the Dex cuts. But of course, when you have everything that has ever existed in the Pokemon franchise all in one game, some game-breaking possibilities can prop up that sometimes weren't intended by the developers. Now, I mentioned earlier that Assist was cut from the game in Gen 8, but in Gen 9 National Dex, you can of course use Assist yet again. And Assist was able to call the most broken move yet. Revival Blessing is a new move introduced in Gen 9 that is able to revive an ally. It's the first time we've ever been able to revive an ally with a move in Pokemon. Now the move only has 1 PP, and it's not very widely distributed. Only Pawmot and Rabska get the move, so it's not that good actually. 1 PP means it can only be used once per game. And these Pokemon that get it are pretty average. They're pretty bad. But Assist does not only have 1 PP, Assist has 32 PP. And Pragster gives Assist priority. Are you seeing where I'm going with this? If Liepard calls Assist with Revival Blessing, it can be used 32 times. Consistently revive your allies. And since Purloin is younger Liepard with the same traits, can't they just keep reviving each other with priority and never die? Isn't that the case? Well, yes, folks, that's exactly the case. And you know what else they did is they added another cat Pokemon with Prankster and Assist on it somewhere down the line. Big mistake. Big mistake. Meowstic was introduced at some stage, who is also a Pokemon with Prankster and Assist. So this cat trio absolutely broke national decks. You could stall games for an absurd amount of time with this strategy, and some great Pokemon to revive repeatedly included a Destiny Bond Smeargle, because Destiny Bond is an effect that, when used, if you die, the enemy also dies. If they attack you and KO you, they die too. So usually it's a way to trade with an enemy, but because you can just revive that Destiny Bond user a bunch of times, you can get multiple KOs with it, and sometimes defeat entire enemy teams with that one Destiny Bond Pokemon. Another good Pokemon to revive was Ditto, because it effectively has infinite PP. Ditto can repeatedly switch back into the field, clone the enemy, and every time it does so, its PP is refreshed. So this can make the game go for absurd amounts of time as you constantly switch Ditto in. Every time it dies, you just keep reviving it, and you keep reviving your guys that revive your other guys, and it never ends. It's insane. This is the most broken strategy I think I've ever seen in Pokemon. Assist was of course banned from National Dex, and I think this is the reason that National Dex Anything Goes doesn't exist anymore, because it was all this, and it was a mess of infinite battles that never ended, so they just got rid of the format. I've never heard of that happening before. Just getting rid of a whole format, but nobody wanted to be a part of it anymore, I suppose. I don't know. It's a little crazy, isn't it? So these are some of the most diabolical strategies Pokemon has ever seen. Out of all of these, I think that the cats have to be the most evil. They have ruined everything multiple times. It's multiple cases of ruining everything, and I believe that to be truly morally bankrupt of them. The Slowbro is pretty evil too, though. You literally can never end, but at least that's like a funny joke. The revival strategy was actually the most broken thing in the entire world. It was actually good. The Slowbro strategy is just playing a prank. But what do you think, folks? What do you believe is the most evil thing in competitive? Let me know down below in the comments, and thank you for watching.